Hi guys, welcome to Conversion Conversations. This is Cameron, and I am making this video because I have some super exciting news I wanted to share with you all. As you probably know, in Conversion Conversations, sometimes I do Transformers trading card game stuff, and recently I've been trying to promote the draft format more. I really like Constructed, but I have a ton of fun drafting Transformers, and in that vein, Wizards of the Coast decided that they'd let me reveal 2 new cards for the upcoming Transformers War for Cybertron's Siege Wave 3 of the trading card game, which I'm super excited about. It's Siege Part 1. So, a real quick bit of history. I promise I won't try and make this video unnecessarily long. Part of the design aspect that the designers at Wizards of the Coast have talked about has been their goal of making sure that each wave of the Transformers trading card game is draftable within one box. So if you buy a booster box, you don't need any other cards to draft up to, I think currently with the recommended format, up to 7 people and have 2 booster packs as prizes left over. In that design goal, that means that certain cards needed to be reprinted every wave. You need your handheld blaster to get your double blue pips. You need your improvised shield to get your double orange pips. Those sort of cards have gotten reprinted in Wave 2 after they were in Wave 1. And then in addition to that, certain cards kind of get remade and slightly tweaked between waves. So you all are probably already familiar with the Drill Arms and Scrapper Gauntlets. They're kind of your equipment disruption cards from Wave 1. Drill Arms is a blue pip. It gives you 1 attack, and when you put it on a character, you get to scrap an enemy armor. So, you know, it's a splash of blue in an orange deck that gives you +1 attack and gets rid of force fields, which is nice. Scrapper Gauntlets does the same thing on the defensive side. It's an orange pip, it's a splash of orange, gives you +1 defense, and it can get rid of energon axes or grenade launchers if for whatever reason they haven't used. Let's say your opponent is running thrust with a grenade launcher on it, you can get rid of it with Scrapper Gauntlets. So these were great cards in the Wave 1 draft format that saw a lot of use, I think, because you weren't going to have all the ideal cards to make your 40 card deck. You were shooting for 25, and if you got these to get some upgrade disruption, that was a great thing. Then in Wave 2, these guys were tweaked and reissued as Enforcement Batons and Bashing Shield. Now, the interesting thing about these cards is they're both orange, so they leaned aggro decks, which have been kind of more prevalent in the format. They have green pips, which means that if you flip them, you can pull it in your hand. So that's what made Bashing Shield almost a staple. You know, at the beginning of the meta, if you remember, Force Field was still pretty common. Everyone was running 2 of Bashing Shields at least. Put it in your hand, get rid of a force field, and you still have an orange pip on the flip to keep your damage up. Enforcement Batons has gotten a little less use, but I've seen use for it. And again, in a draft format, these are both great. They're orange, they do damage. Enforcement Batons gives you an attack, and it scraps the enemy weapons. That's great. So that got me thinking, what about Wave 3? What would we see in Wave 3? Would we see reprints, or would we be seeing something new? And in that vein, first, I'd like to reveal on the right side for our weapon disruption, we have Dismantling Claw. This features Ironhide in a really cool crane add-on that I'm kind of hoping we get a third-party toy maker to give us. But again, it scraps an enemy weapon. It's blue, so it's kind of more like Scrapper Gauntlets, gives you an attack, scraps an enemy weapon, which I think works well in the draft format that they're going to be pursuing in Wave 3. Since we're going to have access to focus to help on an attack, we can drop that blue pip if we don't want it on an attack, or since it also has a green pip, we can leave it in, sacrifice 1 attack damage, but pick it up if we need to scrap an enemy weapon. Now, one thing I note that's interesting is the pace of this card. Both Scrapper Gauntlets and Enforcement Batons were on the equip. You play it, you get to scrap a weapon. Here, it's scrapped from a character, so it's not... I think it's kind of in Constructed, it won't see as much play as, say, Enforcement Batons. That's orange, gives you +1, and it scraps on the play. This one, you need to figure out how to scrap this card yourself or get your opponent to scrap this card in order to get some parity and get the card off of them. But in a draft format where this is, you know, the best equipment disruption you have, I could see myself drawing this depending on what else was in my hand. Then on the left side for armor disruption, we have Reactive Armor, which features a lovely Siege Megatron. I kind of wish that Siege Megatron art in the cards was the camo G2 Megatron that they released as an exclusive toy. I'm hoping Super Rare Megatron might be in Siege Part 2, and that'll be that color scheme. But same thing here. It's an orange pip this time, gives you an armor, kind of like Scrapper Gauntlets, but in terms of pacing, it's on the discard, not on the scrapping, not on the actual play, which I think makes it a little trickier to use. But yeah, so I think that was all I had to say for these guys. I'm looking forward to the draft format for Wave 3 for Siege. I'm guessing that it's going to have to change, right? Because so far the recommended draft format has been 4 booster packs to get you 28 battle cards and cut it down to a 25 card deck. If we're getting 2 character cards, you know, a big and a small one in Siege, and then 6 battle cards, 4 packs only gets us 24 cards. So that suggests that there will be a 5-pack draft format, which will get us up to 30 cards. We discard 5 to get the 25. I'm excited to play with that. In Wave 2, we've been playing around with stuff, and it's been great. I'm rambling at this point. Yeah, so I just wanted to share this. Thank you again, Wizards of the Coast, for giving me these guys to reveal. I guess this means you might have been paying attention to my draft videos, which I appreciate. And have a great day, everyone. Thanks.